Hollow Knight. Oh my god, I love this game. After sinking over 260 hours on Switch and Steam combined, as well as getting every achievement on Steam, I can say that I know this game pretty much by heart by now. So then I got curious, how fast can I beat Hollow Knight 112%? So I tried to do exactly that, and I got a little bit under 11 hours. After taking some notes about what I want to remember and what I should do differently, I wanted to record my next attempt and see if I can improve my time and hopefully get under 10 hours. Before we get into the run though, I just want to quickly go over a little trick I'll be using, called the Spike Pogo. When you downstrike an enemy or spikes, you get a little height boost, and I'll use this technique to do some neat shortcuts. With that being out of the way though, let the speedrun begin! Since the beginning of the game is pretty much the same for everyone, for a large chunk I'll just quickly go over what I'll do. Before we get into Dirtmouth, we can use a Spike Pogo technique in the King's Pass to get the charm Fury of the Fallen early. We won't be using this one at all, since we won't stay at 1 health, risking to die and then potentially lose a lot of time. We go straight through Dirtmouth and head into the Forgotten Crossroads. We start by going right, defeat a Huskar, and then rescue our first grub. We rescue grubs to get a lot of essential items for the 112% completion, and also get quite a bit of money from doing so. We go left into the big shaft area. From here we break a wall and do some Spike Pogos to get into the fight with the Brooding Marowak early. This fight goes just fine and we get our first Mask Shard. After getting 4 of these, our total life counter will increase, and there's a total of 16 of these to find in the game. We then meet up with Cornifer and buy a map from him. I'll be buying most of the maps just in case I get lost and need to check it. We rescue another grub and then head for the Grub's mother. After defeating it and its little babies, we rescue Sly and rescue another grub by doing some more Spike Pogos. Before we defeat the False Knight, we quickly rescue another grub behind the breakable wall and head down to open up our first Stagway station. After that we head up to defeat the False Knight. I got really lucky with the rocks falling near the second phase, so this fight went really well. We pick up the city crest and some money and head to the Ancestral Mound. Here we get our first ability, the Vengeful Spirit. After going through a little testing area, we get the very useful Soul Catcher charm. Now we are set to head off into the Green Path. But before that, I visit the Grub Father to get a little bit of money for the 4 grubs we rescued earlier, and then go up to Dirtmouth to buy a few things. We bought the Wayward Compass, which show our player's location on the map, and we buy the Quill so we can write down our own maps. I was then going to buy the Gathering Swarm charm, but I did not have enough money, so I was kinda stuck. Gathering Swarm is a charm that collects any money that lies around on the ground, so you don't have to walk there and pick it up yourself. It's basically like a magnet for all money, so it was very useful for me in the speedrun, so I didn't have to go back and pick up everything. So now I was kinda confused, but I ended up just going to the Green Path without it. Aesthetically, I really do like the Green Path, even though there's not too much going on at this point. We buy the map from Cornifer, rescue a grub, and then we ignore the Hunter's Journal because we really don't need it for the completion. And then when we get higher up into Green Path, we meet the Vengeful Flying King in the process of eating soap. So in this run we will take every single boss, so that means saving soap. So go ahead and have the quickest fight I have ever had with the Vengeful Flying King, and I'm really happy about that. We rescue another grub guarded by a Moss Knight, and then we open up the Stagway station and head to Dirtmouth. We're here to finally pick up that Gathering Swarm charm. We equip it, and then we go straight back to fight Hornet. And this fight went terrible, and I kept doing these very stupid mistakes about just jumping into attacks and not moving out of the way. And because of that, I didn't get out the damage I wanted, so this fight took a little longer than what I would like. We got the MOTHWING cloak and head on. On our way to the Fog Canyon, I went through a little platforming area to get the Thorns of Agony charm. I ended up using this one a little bit, but it was really not worth it. Before we go to the Fog Canyon though, I wanted to take out the massive Moss Charger. The fight went just great, but then I did a big mistake. I ended up going to the left, even though I really shouldn't have. You see, there's this part where you have to downstrike Durandus to get across of a big lake, right? I ended up saving a grub there, but then I got blocked off, which means that I have to go back there anyway. So I just wasted a lot of time on a trip that I really did not have to take. So that's my first big time loss. I make my way back and head into the Fog Canyon. Right now, the Fog Canyon is simply just a transition area. So get into the Queen Station, open up the Stagway, and head into Fungal Wastes. Here we buy yet another map from Conifer, and go to a little sidetrack to collect a Hollow Nest Seal. In Hollow Knight there's a bunch of different relics you can collect. Next up we take out 2 Rumal Ogres to get a Charm Notch. After that we go out to meet the Leg Eater. He sells Fragile Charms. Fragile Charms are very useful, but if you die and have them equipped, they will break and you will have to go back to the Leg Eater and fix them. And since they are so useful, I will be using these for most part of this entire run. So I need to be very careful. We buy Fragile Heart, which will give us 2 more hit points, and Fragile Greed, which will make enemies drop more money upon death. That, combined with the Gathering Swarm, is very good for gathering a lot of money. We sit down and equip the Fragile Heart, Thorns of Agony, and Gathering Swarm. After rescuing another grub and open up a little shortcut, we head into the Mantis village. Here we get the Mantis Claw, which will allow us to wall jump. After that, we open up a giant crevice, heads down, and challenge the Mantis Lords. This fight went without any problem, and there's not really anything to talk about this fight. Now the Mantis enemies will actually respect us, and we get access to a little area where we can get a lot of money, a Hollow Nest Seal, and probably the best charm in the whole game, the Mark of Pride, which will increase our range tenfold. With that being under our belt, we're ready to head to the next area. We go through a little platforming section, enter the city crest in a statue of the mighty Hegemol, and enter the City of Tears. As soon as we get here, we head straight to the Nailsmith to upgrade our weapon. After that, we pick up another Hollow Nest Seal and head to Relic Seeker Lamp to sell off the ones we have. We now got quite a bit of money and are ready to tackle the Soul Sanctum. Right before we get there though, we save a grub on the way there. In the Soul Sanctum, I noticed the problem with Thorns of Agony. Every time you take damage, you give damage to enemies immediately around you. But when you're dealing with ranged enemies, that doesn't really work at all. And you do the little stagger animation after you get hit. So I lost some time on that. I defeat the Soul Warrior, pick up the Spell Twister Charm, which is pretty useful, and get ready to defeat the Soul Master. Here I actually got some use out of the Thorns of Agony charm, but just as many times I actually hit him with it, is just as many that I missed him with it. So still very mixed on the Thorns of Agony. We defeat him and grab the... Oh, never mind. There we go. With a Desolate Dive under our belt, we save a grub and then bust out of the Soul Sanctum. We open up the Stagway Station and the city storerooms and we head to Dirtmouth. Here I buy a Lumify Lantern and a Simple Key, which I really did not mean to. You see, in the game there are 4 simple keys and 4 simple locks. For the 112% completion, you only need 2 of them. So I really could have just saved the money for it. So here's another mistake that I made. We then take the Stagway Station to the Forgotten Crossroads so we can enter the Crystal Peak. And here I made yet another big mistake. I ended up going the wrong way and I ended up going to the place where you need the tram pass to take the tramway to the Crystal Peak. Of course we don't have the tram pass yet, so I lost about 2 minutes. But after that we finally made our way to the Crystal Peak. Here we rescue a grub, buy the map, get the Shopkeeper's Key, which will unlock more items in Sly's shop, and take on the Crystal Guardian, which is just as easy as it always has been. Then we make our way to the Crystal Heart to get the Super Dash. Soaring through this area is seriously just the best, by the way. We rescue a grub, and then we come into a little problem. I get into this little area where you have to time your dashes to get through this little area. But I got super close to dying, and I had my Fragile Heart on, so I chickened out and saved and quit and ended back on my bench. Then I got back and I managed to do it, get a little bit of money, and then make our way through the rest of the area, while saving a grub on the way there. Next up is a little area I always have a really hard time with, being the Crystallized Mound. This time is no exception. I got relatively close to dying. It went fine, so I got the grub and upgraded Desolate Dive into Descending Dark. And then we fall into Resting Grounds. Here we get the Dream Nail and then wake up next to Seer. We go straight out, open the Stagway Station and get the easiest charm to get in the game. You literally walk in and pick it up. So we got the Dream Shield. Not very useful in my opinion. Then we head over to defeat our first Dream Warrior, Zero. This fight goes just fine without anything special to talk about. Then we head down to the claustrophobic, creepy underground area, pick up the Soul Eater charm as well as saving the grub that is there. Then I want to get across the Blue Lake, but I was super dashing, so I accidentally hit the elevator back down to City of Tears. So I had to go back up again, so there's a little time loss. We get across the Blue Lake to meet Celebra, and from her we buy 2 charm notches. And from there we can put on Fragile Greed. We then head back and get down into the City of Tears yet again. Now that we're in another part of City of Tears, we enter a little challenge room, and I get really close to dying, but I manage to save myself and then get our first vessel fragment. Then we open up the Stagway station in King Station. Next up is a little outside area, and here we enter 2 of the buildings. One of them has a gorgeous husk that mainly just drops a lot of money, which is gonna be quite useful. And in the other one we save a grub. And that's pretty much it for the second visit of the City of Tears. After that we head down an elevator shaft to enter the Ancient Basin. Here we go to the little side area where there's a grub and also the area where we save cloth. But I ended up just saving the grub because I was very low on health, so I kinda chicken out again. After that we buy the map from Cornifer and prepare a new loadout before the fight with the Broken Vessel. We take off the Wayward Compass and the Fragile Greed and put on the Mark of Pride. On the way to the Broken Vessel we pick up a simple key on the way. And the fight with the Broken Vessel went really well. I've never had a better fight with him ever. I beat him in 35 seconds and I'm not even joking. Then we get the Monarch wings. We then save and quit back to the bench near the boss. After that we open up the hidden station and go back to the area where our chicken out. We save cloth and then head back. Here I could have just saved and quit back to the bench, but I end up not doing that, so another time loss. Next up we go to the City of Tears to meet Relic Seeker Lem to sell off a few things. Now that we got this much money we go to the Nailsmith and upgrade our nail yet again. And then we save and quit back to the bench at the hidden station. From here we get to Dirtmouth. We buy 2 mask shards and the Elegant Key. Then we head straight to the city storerooms to use that key. We defeat the Soul Warrior without any problem, and then we upgrade our Vengeful Spirit into the Shade Soul. We then save and quit back to the hidden station again and head to the King Station. And now we use the simple key to get access to the Royal Waterways. We quickly save a grub and grab another mask shard. Then we buy the map from Cornifer and head to Fungal Wastes for a little bit. We're here just to collect the Dash Master charm and save Bretta, and then we head back into the waterways. And then we meet up with one of the coolest guys in the whole game, Dung Defender. We defeat him, pick up the Defender's Crest, clear out the water, and then pick up the King's Idol inside of his hut or poop cave. Now that the water is cleared out, we can make our way to Isthmus Grove and get the Isthmus Tear. This will allow us to swim in acid water. Then we head right under her grove and climb up a bit to rescue another grub. We save and quit back to the bench in the waterways, and then we head on to defeat the Fluke Marm. Here I got super greedy and fire up 3 Shade Souls on the side. For this fight I like to stay above him at all times so I can defeat the flying turnips that can swoop under you, so I can kill them that way. But because I got greedy, I tried to rush up there, and then because of that I started really messing up, and I was taking a lot of damage, but I managed to kill him on 1 HP. And even after that there was this 1 flying turnip around, so I got really stressed out, but it turned out fine and we pick up the Fluke Nest charm. After that we head to Queen Station and pick up the mask shard right there, and that ends our first gaming session. I think this first gaming session went really well. We got 14 charms, 5 mask shards, 1 vessel fragment, we saved a bunch of grubs, and we upgraded both Vengeful Spirit and Desolate Dive. So I think this went really well. And that ends the first gaming session at 2 hours and 19 minutes. So stay tuned for the next episode where I'm gonna do the next gaming session. I figured out I have to split it into a series because it's just taking way too long to take a full 100% playthrough in one video. So I hope you're excited for the next part right here.